Alright. Kind of tired today. As always, I'm an insomniac and never sleep for some reason. But regardless, I felt like... excuse me. Felt like I wanted to make a video. Sony just had their big PS5 Showcase. And catching a lot of crap from people. And I wanted to troll a little about it. First thing was, Xbox put out a tweet showing that almost all the games were on Xbox. What a good looking group. And they put this on. Which is pretty much all the games in the show, or all the major games in the show that are coming to Xbox. So that was pretty funny, just to give you an idea of the mood around the internet. Now, Sony headquarters of the world is REE Era, or Reset Era. But since they're extremely woke, you can call them REE Era. And they were not happy with the show, which surprised me because, I don't know, like, one thing I hate about the Sony Hive is they hype everything. The Sony Hive on REE Era, they hype everything. So I would have expected them to just be flipping out and, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever, like they always do, but they weren't. Somehow they were mad about the showcase, which, okay. Now I didn't I watched the showcase, but I just kind of vaguely. I mean, I'm way too old for these things now. I used to like get so into E3. Like E3 was like my favorite time of year. It almost got to be a problem because like 4 months beforehand I'd be like I would think about it a lot, and you know, and this would be like 4 months to the thing, and it just almost became like where I had to force myself to stop thinking about it all the time. But around like 2006, 2007, where like Gears and Killzone 3 were coming, or Killzone 2 were coming out, those were to me the peak years. Those were the years when the graphics really blew me away. The graphical improvements that were coming. To me, maybe it's an age-related thing, but I really don't think so. To me, like the 360 era was where graphics really hit this inflection point, and they became like super amazing, and I was just mind blown. But it's like ever since then, we've just gotten incremental improvements, in my opinion. So I rarely look at graphics anymore and go like, oh my god, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, okay, cool, you know, that looks neat, that looks awesome, whatever. I mean, graphics still wow me sometimes and stuff, but not like they used to. So that's just to put it in perspective, that I don't get too hyped for these video game shows anymore. I'm actually pretty hyped for the Xbox one though, especially after this PlayStation one fell flat, because I'm a lot more interested in the stuff Xbox has. That's why I'm an Xbot. So like Starfield's gonna be awesome. I don't know what all supposed to be at the Xbox show, so I'm probably completely off base on some of these. I saw like a fake thing, almost certainly fake, a fake leak of the Xbox show on Twitter, and it was, I mean, I assume it was fake. It had like Gears 6, that sounds awesome. Gears Collection, that sounds incredible, you know. I mean, I probably wouldn't play it that much, but it still sounds incredible. Forza Motorsport, now that looks really good because the graphics are really good on that to me. I won't play it much. I never play the Forza games that much. I dabble a little in Horizon. The actual Forza Motorsport, I'm not into like sim racing that much. I'll probably play it some though, especially because all the stuff is free on Game Pass. So, and I have Game Pass, so why not? But yeah, so, and like others, I don't know if there's any chance of any of these games coming. Probably not, but like I think Fable supposedly, and I think there's still the Perfect Dark game out there somewhere, and I don't know what all else. But so the Xbox Showcase actually looked pretty interesting to me, if half of what they claim actually comes to pass. But like the Sony Showcase was almost nothing but third-party games. Actually, I will say that in defense of the show, like I could say one thing I really hate about the old E3s is they talk for like 2 hours, but like 80% of it would be like these crappy little indie games, and people would always be like, oh, how dare you call them crappy little indie games. Those are the best game, blah, blah, blah. Man, I don't care. I was never interested. Like I remember Xbox used to always brag about, oh, our showcase is so big. We're having a hot, it's going to be 2 hours instead of like 90 minutes or whatever it was. Because we just couldn't cram everything in there, and we're so jam packed. We might even go over because, man, we got and it was always just like 80% of it was just indies. Okay, whatever floats your boat. But I will say that they just showed what looked like almost all AAA games to me, and they just showed them back to back to back to back. So I actually did notice that, and I did kind of like that it wasn't a lot of filler. I don't think anybody really talked at all. There was no like presentation per se. So yeah, but I will say, yeah, I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was just whatever, Oh, some games, okay, looks pretty cool, whatever. But they were all third party. It's like, I guess the thing I do see that would make me mad if I was a Sony fanboy about it, and that I do understand why the show was a letdown, is apparently there was only one Sony exclusive shown, which is the Spiderman 2 I have on the screen. And yeah, people were expecting all this crazy stuff like Uncharted 5 or whatever. I don't even know if that's a thing, but Last of Us 3, whatever. They're expecting all these huge I think they were expecting some sort of like some Konami exclusives, like Metal Gear Solid something, and I think Metal Gear Solid Collection is PS exclusive, whatever. They're expecting all this exclusive stuff, and none of it happened. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else was missing. Like, I don't care. Oh, like probably a new Horizon game or something. Whatever franchise Sony even has anymore. All these woke franchises starring blue-haired SJWs. But okay, so the Spider-Man. Now, what I really wanted to troll in this video was that I don't think PS5 is powerful enough, and like, I think the Sony fanboys are really starting to get scared about it, because, you look at the Spider-Man 2, it looked cool, I guess, but it didn't wow. This little screen cap I'm stuck on actually looks pretty cool because of the motion blur and stuff, and the building in the background actually is pretty good, but when I was actually watching this video, it was like, blah. Somebody did, it doesn't look that good over, like, the Spider-Man Remastered or anything. It just doesn't look that good, it looks fine, but... And I think, the Sony fanboys on REE Era, they hype everything. Like, oh my god, oh, this is so unbelievable. And they're not hyping this, man. So they're scared, man. They know that the PS5 doesn't have the power that they need, and that the Series X is more powerful. They've always been scared of that. The thing that I'm seeing now a ton is, oh, PS5 Pro. Oh, PS5 Pro. And I've talked about PS5 Pro before. Like, it's a reactionary. PS5 fanboys are so insecure about the lack of power that their console usually has. They're so insecure over it. The PS5 Pro is a reaction to that, but I don't think it's coming. I looked in, first of all, it doesn't make any sense, because the PS5 is $500, right? So, how do you make a PS5 Pro? How? Like, it would have to be $700-800, Who's paying that for? Nobody's paying that, That's insanity. The second thing is PS5 is selling good. As much as I troll it, it's selling great, It's selling fine. It's sold a little bit less than PS4 so far, but it did have all those shortages that are now over. So once it catches up, it'll probably be like right with PS4. It might even go ahead a little bit. PS4 sold good. It's doing fine. So why do you need a Pro at all? I don't see the point. From Sony's perspective, all Sony cares about is sales. So I don't see it, just because I guess I never thought that the digital edition is only $400. So maybe they do like a digital PS5 Pro for like $600 or something. I don't think so, though, because you can't get. I doubt you can get a significantly powerful system for that price. That's the thing. Like, first of all, how do you go up on RAM? You've already got 16 gigabytes. Most you could go up would be to like 24 and fit it in a reasonable cost. You're not going to 32. That's too expensive, So you go to 24 gigs of RAM and maybe a more powerful GPU, maybe. Like, I don't even know what's out there, but from AMD, it has to be AMD, because it has to be the same architecture as PS5. I just don't see it at all, and I don't see how you're getting all that into a $600-700 console. And even then, I mean, I think people are gonna go like, why would I buy a $700 console? You know, I don't see it. I could be wrong. And second of all, here's the thing that always makes me, just shows how like Sony biased people are, is why is there no speculation about an Xbox Pro, Xbox Series X Pro? There's zero speculation about that. Zero. Now we know last time they made the Xbox One X, Sony fanboys were mad, and it outpowered the PS4 Pro. So why wouldn't that happen again? Why wouldn't there be an Xbox Series X Pro that's more powerful than any potential PS5 Pro if the PS5 Pro even came out? So why would Sony fanboys be so excited about that? Like, they think that it's gonna they're mad because the PS5 is less powerful than the Series X, and they think the PS5 Pro is somehow gonna fix that. But it's not, because like you assume Xbox, but they just act like Xbox is not gonna make a Pro. When last gen Xbox made a Pro too, there's only been one gen that had a Pro. And Xbox did, so why wouldn't Xbox just do it again? Would be your default thinking. I mean, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't, maybe Sony will, maybe Sony won't. You know, we don't know yet. But your default thinking is Xbox is going to make a Pro too, and it's probably going to be more powerful than PS5 Pro, or at least on par. So Sony's not gaining a more powerful power advantage. They're just going to be on parity again. You know, it doesn't make any, why is there no rumors about an Xbox Pro? None. Because the PS5 fanboys are hoping so bad for the Pro. They're hoping that this is, I always see them. You know, before the PS5 came out, there was all these rumors about how powerful it was, and then there was a separate set of rumors that was true, that it was 36 CUs and exactly what it ended up being. Although they clocked it up a little bit, so it hit like 10 teraflops in theory. I call it 9 instead of 9. But there was like a set of rumors that was the truth, and then there was all these wild rumors about, of course, you know, oh, it's so powerful, and everybody would just swear by these rumors. Oh yeah, you know, these rumors are 100%, you know, they just, and so, like, I don't believe Sony fanboy rumors at all. And all the Sony fanboys are saying like, oh, Tom Henderson said it. I guess he's some leaker for Microsoft. Tom Henderson's never wrong. He's always, you know, gotten these leaks right. Well, I don't know who that is. I don't know exactly what he said, but whatever, you know, it could have been something vague. I don't even know. But whatever he's saying, I bet you that it's you know, it could have been a Sony fanboy that he was duped by. That's the thing. Like, there's Sony fanboys everywhere. It could have been like some Sony fanboy that works at EA or something, just hoping and making crap up and feeding it to Tom Henderson, you know? So I don't, even if Tom Henderson said it, I don't care. He can be tricked by Sony fanboys too. You know? So I don't believe it. To me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. But there's this huge hope on PS fanboys for it, because they don't like being less powerful, and they fear being less powerful, which is showing in these games like Spiderman 2. It doesn't even look cool. Oh, and by the way, this game looks exactly like this old game called Prototype, and I'm really old, so I'm probably one of the few that remembers it. But like, it's got this black, it's like they ripped off this old 360, it was also on PS3, it was multi-platform, but it's called Prototype, and it looked exactly like this. It had like this very dark theme, and it had like a guy who you know, he used this like web stuff, and this, you know, he smashed the environment with all these like blackish looking goo, and I don't know how to explain it, but it looks just a lot like this dark Spider-Man thing. And I saw one of the comments on one of the videos I saw about it was also like, hey, it looks like Prototype. You probably got to be old, very old. Most people probably aren't old enough to, because I think Prototype would have been like a 2008 game or something. It was 360 era. So you got to be old. That was what, 15 years ago. You got to be old to remember it, to be old enough to like remember it when Prototype came out. But yeah, anyone who's seen Prototype, it looks exactly like this Spider-Man 2. You know, it was like a bad, evil, dark theme, and it was like, you know, same kind of thing, jumping around the environment and like using your like goo to like kill everything and stuff. If I remember, it was a very like kind of evil game, really. I'm sure Spider-Man 2 won't be that dark, but yeah, it looks exactly like Prototype, by the way, Spider-Man 2. And yeah, it's just so yeah. That's my thoughts on it, on the Sony show. There's a renewed, and I don't understand like the like right after the show on REE Era, there was a post like, so this basically confirms. I was thinking like, okay, well, PS5 Pro, from what I understood, was supposed to be unveiled at the show, and they unveiled their streaming handheld. They're all going, oh, Tom Henderson said there's going to be a streaming handheld, and look, there's a streaming handheld. So obviously he's never wrong. And the PS5 Pro, he said there's going to be PS5 Pro, so obviously there's going to be a PS5 Pro. And it's like, well, but the streaming handheld was shown. The PS5 Pro was supposed to be shown at this event. It wasn't shown, or at least people thought it might. It wasn't shown, so that makes me think, well, no PS5 Pro then. Instead, they're going like, oh, they're trying to twist everything to be like, oh, this confirms PS5 Pro because Tom Henderson was right about the handheld and blah, 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 blah. Like, I fail to see how a product not showing up at a show that it was supposed to show up at proves it's real times 3, you know? It's so stupid, such hopium, you know? Now, what I'm thinking is, since also the disc drive-less editions of PS5 didn't show up, that are heavily rumored and pretty much confirmed, unlike PS5 Pro, which is not confirmed in my opinion. But I think what's going to happen is all that'll be unveiled in like a September thing. Because I think somebody said once, like the PS4 Slim was unveiled like a week before it came out or something. So Sony has precedent for like not unveiling things until very late in the game. So I do believe that the PS5 could come out in, I mean that they will have probably some sort of hardware unveil at some point closer to the fall maybe. But another thing is, if they're going to do a PS4 Pro, they pretty much got to do it soon. They've already sold like 36 million, something like that, about 40 million PS5. Probably at this point it's like 42 million, you know. And you only sell like PS4 ended up selling like around 120 million, 115 million, something like that. This is already year 3. This is the big year of a console, you know. They're in full swing. They got their supply chain issues sorted out, you know. So the point is, you can't introduce a Pro too late. Like, this is pretty much this year and maybe next year is the only window they have. I looked at PS4 Pro because I forgot it came out in like late 2016, and the PS4, for reference, came out in late 2013. So by the same time frame, PS5 came out in late 20. The PS5 Pro should be hitting in late 23, exactly 3 years later, just like PS4 Pro. Now, I guess you could argue they could slide that a little, maybe to like spring 24, or even at the very latest fall 24. Past fall 24, I see no chance, because at that point, PS5 will be like in its downswing, you know? It'll be like over 60, 70 million sold. It'll be on the downswing. 80 million sold, whatever, you know, it'll be tuckering out. Why would you bring out a PS5 Pro when PS6 is right around the corner in a way, you know? And why would you bring it out when the PS5 is dying off a little bit, you know? You got to do it in like year 3, 4 when people still care. You know, people aren't going to, almost everybody's going to have a PS5 in 3 years, 4 years, in 2 years, you know? So they're not going to go buy a PS5 Pro, you know? They already have a PS5. So yeah, so to me, you got to do it in like year 3, 4, obviously, just like PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. But yet, so they got to do it like by this fall. So they still have time to announce, like I said, when they announce the disc-free PS5, you know, I don't know when that'll be. I suspect it'll be like September, like. But the point is, they don't have a lot of time here. If they're gonna do a PS5 Pro, which I don't think they will, it's gotta be soon. Gotta be in the next few months, or it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, period. So I'm gonna say there's no PS5 Pro. I haven't heard one, you know, another thing about a PS5 Pro is you usually hear reliable specs on stuff leaked beforehand. I didn't hear a single reliable spec on anything leaked. So, you know, you get a basic idea. Oh, it's going to have this GPU. Oh, it's going to have this many CUs. I mean, somebody can make some stuff up easily enough. They can just go like, oh, it's going to have this many, you know, whatever. But, it just seems doubtful to me. It's not going to happen. It's copium. Sony had a terrible show. It's all Xbox momentum right now. Xbox looking good, more powerful. and PS5 Pro is not happening, and Sony had a terrible show. It was good to see Sony have some bad news, because before then all the thing was about Xbox and how bad Xbox is doing, you know, Xbox this, Xbox that. So it's good to see PlayStation take a hit, you know, in public opinion. And but yeah, I don't have much else to say except PS5 is hopium, and it's not happening. And the PS5 show is very underwhelming, and I'm hoping for a lot better out of the Xbox. I don't see how the Xbox show can't be better. I mean, if they show anything, they're gonna show a bunch of Starfield. They have their own direct on Starfield. Just that. Just if they didn't do anything else but do like an hour on Starfield showing a lot of gameplay and shit, that's gonna blow away everything Sony's got, you know, everything Sony had anyway. Okay, so that's my video.